Welcome to Omasae, where gardens aren't just grown, they're lovingly crafted with care, imagination, and a little rustic magic. Today, we invite you into a world where stone and wood come together to create peaceful, beautiful spaces without straining your wallet. If you've ever dreamed of having a garden that feels like a storybook escape, rich with texture, charm, and character, this video is for you. You don't need a large yard or fancy materials to create something special. Just a few humble elements like old planks, river rocks, and fallen branches can be transformed into timeless garden features that ground the space and soothe the soul. In today's video, you'll discover 10 practical and inspiring ideas using stone and wood, each one perfect for gardeners who love that warm, rustic aesthetic. Whether it's a weathered planter box, a dry stone wall, or a cozy fire pit, these DIY-friendly designs invite you to slow down and enjoy your outdoor space in a whole new way. So grab your favorite cup of tea, sit back, and get inspired by projects that celebrate nature's raw beauty. And if you love videos that bring rustic charm to life, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment with your favorite idea, and subscribe to Omasae so you never miss a new episode. There's something deeply comforting about rustic gardens. Maybe it's the aged wood that carries the patina of seasons gone by, or the stones that feel as if they've been resting in place for 100 years. This kind of charm doesn't come from perfection, it comes from authenticity. A rustic garden isn't afraid to show its weathered edges or its moss-covered corners. In fact, that's where its beauty lies. It reminds us to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to see elegance in the everyday. And best of all, creating this atmosphere doesn't require a huge budget. In today's video, we'll show you how to build timeless garden elements using affordable or even free materials, like driftwood you find on a walk or stones gathered from the edge of a creek. These ideas aren't just decorations. They're small transformations that help turn your outdoor space into a sanctuary. From pathways that crunch softly underfoot to planters built with hand-cut logs, each project speaks the language of nature. You'll feel the shift as you begin to shape your garden with intention, simplicity, and joy. Let's explore how these rustic elements can come together to make your backyard feel like a peaceful retreat. If you've ever walked through a forest and admired how nature defines its own paths, you'll love rustic log edging. This technique is incredibly simple. Just gather short lengths of tree branches or logs and set them upright along the borders of your garden beds. You don't need perfect cuts or matching sizes. Irregularity is what gives this edging its woodland charm. The result is a natural-looking, budget-friendly border that feels grounded and timeless. It's especially lovely when used alongside native plants, mulch, or moss, reinforcing the sense that your garden grew out of the landscape itself. You can mix thicker logs with slender twigs or intersperse them with small boulders for added variety. For a sturdier installation, dig a shallow trench and partially bury the logs to keep them upright. Over time, the wood may begin to decay slightly, but rather than ruining the look, this only enhances the natural aesthetic. You can seal the wood if you'd like it to last longer, but some gardeners prefer to let it weather and change. This edging works wonderfully for vegetable plots, flower beds, or meandering garden paths. It's a quiet, humble way to define space without shouting, and it gives your garden a gentle rhythm that feels peaceful and handmade. Old tools tell stories, and in a rustic garden, they find new life as planters bursting with color and charm. A rusty wheelbarrow becomes a mobile flower bed. A watering can spills over with trailing ivy. Even a rake head can become a holder for small clay pots. These quirky planters are both functional and full of whimsy, offering a playful nod to the past. Their aged surfaces, chipped paint, worn handles, faded metal, add texture and nostalgia to the scene. Cluster them by a fence, line them up on a stone wall, or tuck them into flower beds for delightful surprises. You don't need to spend a dime. Just raid your shed or look for cast-offs at yard sales. With a little imagination, even the most tired tool becomes a treasured part of your garden's story. Few objects bring instant rustic charm like an old wagon wheel. Mounted upright or leaned against a fence, it becomes a striking trellis for climbing roses, sweet peas, or morning glories. The spokes guide the vines while the circular shape adds motion and rhythm to your garden. Over time, the wood weathers, the metal rusts, and the wheel becomes part of the landscape, beautiful in every season. It works especially well in small gardens, where vertical interest is key. You can flank it with stone planters, frame it with logs, or let it stand alone as a sculptural centerpiece. It's not just decoration, it's a bridge between old and new, a nod to homestead days when every tool had a second life. These trellises remind us that beauty doesn't have to be new, it just has to be meaningful. Compact, practical, and full of character, the herb spiral combines form and function into one sculptural feature. Made from stacked stones and interwoven wood, the spiral creates microclimates, sunny on top, shady and moist at the base, so you can grow a variety of herbs in a small space. It's a beautiful solution for urban gardens or tight corners, and it becomes an instant focal point. As time spills over the edge and basil reaches upward, your garden feels more alive. You can even add a small bird bath or solar lantern at the center for added charm. Building one is a simple weekend project. Lay the base, spiral your materials upward, and fill with good soil. The result is more than a planter. It's a living sculpture that draws the eye and delights the senses. There's something undeniably primal about a fire circle. In the heart of a rustic garden, a simple stone fire pit becomes the gathering point, whether for quiet evenings, roasting marshmallows, or sharing stories under the stars. Building one doesn't require a contractor, just a shovel, a level surface, and some stones. Choose flat, thick stones for the edge, and arrange them in a circle with a fire-safe bowl or gravel base in the center. The stones reflect the firelight beautifully, casting warm glows that dance on nearby plants or structures. You can surround the pit with log stools, salvaged benches, or even old bricks for seating. In the daytime, it still holds presence, like a miniature ancient ruin. At night, it becomes a source of comfort and calm. Adding small lanterns or hanging lights nearby enhances the ambience even more. A fire pit is the kind of feature that encourages people to linger, talk, and enjoy the moment. And when it's made with stone and simple materials, it feels like it's always belonged there, just waiting to be lit. Rustic charm doesn't get much cozier than this. Dry stone walls are one of the oldest forms of garden structure, and for good reason. They're sturdy, elegant, and require nothing more than patience, stone, and a good eye. Building one may seem daunting, but it's actually meditative work. Choose a variety of stone sizes and shapes, then begin stacking, fitting each piece carefully like a puzzle. No mortar is needed. The weight and angles do the work. The gaps between stones allow drainage and even invite moss, tiny ferns, or creeping thyme to grow. These walls can act as retaining edges, raised beds, or simply a lovely backdrop for your flowers. They also bring incredible texture and shadow into the garden, especially in the early morning or late afternoon light. Dry stone walls are never perfectly straight, and that's part of their charm. They feel old, solid, and timeless. Whether you build a full wall or a small curved accent piece, the presence of stone grounds the garden and adds a sense of permanence. And once it's built, it's there for years, requiring no upkeep, just admiration. For rustic elegance that truly blends with nature, few features can compete with a dry stacked stone wall. There's a quiet poetry in driftwood. Smoothed by waves and bleached by the sun, each piece carries a history of ocean tides, storms, and time itself. Bringing driftwood into your garden adds an organic sculptural element that feels both wild and intentional. The key is to let the wood speak for itself. A twisted branch can become the centerpiece of a succulent bed. A long, curved piece might stretch over a flower bed like a natural arch. You don't need to carve, sand, or finish it. Just place it where the light can catch its curves. Driftwood pairs beautifully with soft greenery, gravel, moss, and even metal elements like rusted iron. You can mount pieces vertically like totems or arrange smaller ones in clusters like fallen trees. For an artistic touch, consider placing driftwood in a rock garden or using it to edge a water feature. Some gardeners turn them into trellises or plant stands, combining form with function. Others leave them as standalone sculptures, giving the eye something to rest on in a sea of green. Driftwood is not only free if you collect it yourself, but it's also a conversation starter, a piece of nature's art, right in your backyard. A pathway made from river rocks does more than lead you from one part of the garden to another. It sets a mood. These smooth, rounded stones feel gentle underfoot and evoke the calming rhythm of a babbling brook. Creating a river rock path is a peaceful project that can fit gardens of any size. Start by clearing your route, laying down landscape fabric if needed, and then filling it with stones in varying shades of gray, brown, and cream. The irregular shapes and subtle color changes create movement and interest, like water frozen in motion. You can edge the path with larger rocks, driftwood, or logs to give it a defined border. And because river rocks are so naturally weathered, they complement both lush greenery and sparse, minimal landscapes. They're perfect for Zen-style gardens, woodland corners, or sunny herb plots. Over time, the rocks settle and darken with rain and foot traffic, becoming part of the earth itself. Add solar lights or low ground covers nearby to enhance the path at dusk. A river rock path invites you to slow down, walk barefoot, and enjoy each quiet step through your rustic retreat. Sometimes the simplest lines make the biggest impact. Rock garden borders define your beds while celebrating natural textures and forms. Unlike traditional edging, these borders embrace irregularity, stones of different sizes and colors placed with care to create a soft, flowing boundary. This kind of edging works beautifully with native plants, succulents, or alpine blooms. It's low maintenance, long-lasting, and full of character. You can use smooth river stones, angular field stones, or even broken pieces of concrete for a more industrial twist. Interplant with sedum or creeping thyme to soften the edges and invite pollinators. Rock borders catch the light differently throughout the day, creating shifting patterns of shadow and depth. They guide the eye through the garden without shouting for attention, quietly elegant, deeply rooted. There's something about old wood that instantly warms a garden. Weathered wood planter boxes, with their grayed surfaces and soft grain, bring a rustic honesty to your outdoor space. These boxes are simple to build, even with minimal tools, and you can often make them from salvage boards or repurposed fence slats. The rough edges and imperfect corners aren't flaws, they're features that add charm. You can place these planters anywhere, flanking your front steps, tucked under a kitchen window, or lining the edge of a garden path. Fill them with herbs, wildflowers, or seasonal blooms, and watch how the wood sets off the greens and colors of nature. Over time, the wood will continue to age, taking on silvery tones and blending more beautifully with its surroundings. If you like a little variety, consider staining some boxes dark and leaving others natural. This contrast adds depth without disrupting the rustic feel. You can even add small handles made from rope or iron for that extra handcrafted touch. Whether in rows or scattered about, these boxes create rhythm and structure while keeping the space soft and welcoming. They're proof that beauty doesn't have to come from big budgets. Sometimes, it just comes from well-loved wood and a little time in the sun. We hope you felt inspired by these rustic garden ideas, proof that with just stone, wood, and a little imagination, you can create a space that feels soulful, serene, and entirely your own. These touches don't require perfection. They thrive on character, weather, and time. Each stone you place, each log you repurpose, brings new life to your garden while reflecting the story of the hands that built it. At Omasae, we believe in celebrating the beauty of simplicity, the charm of the natural world, and the joy of slow, meaningful design. If you enjoyed this journey through rustic garden charm, please give this video a like, share your favorite idea in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more peaceful and creative inspiration. Until next time, may your garden be a place of calm, wonder, and quiet joy.